Give a shout out to the elder Baba Rashan because I love this video and he brought up a great video and a point about mass shootings in white America and how it doesn't get talked about. How everybody is always pointing to black folks and saying how violent you are and what you did and all that. I always tell the truth and I ain't gonna lie. When I find out about any stories going on, I always got to see who's the mugshot, who's the picture, who was the culprit, who did it. I said, please don't let them be black because you don't get the same reality. When someone's black that's a suspect of something horrific, they paint everybody, label it, and then it's like, oh, the boogeyman. But when white cats get busted for this situation, it's almost like with kitty gloves. It's almost like it just kind of, it's like, it's the mental, just, it's just almost like it just gets erased. It's almost like it just gets devolved. It just, ugh. Why is it normalized? You know, when you see these mass shootings going on in a church and you see them in events and things like this, what is causing all that? Why is there so much hysteria and so much like that? Because you don't have no president to say nothing about it. You have nobody that says nothing about it. Why is it just run amok, like cup run over? Why is it just seen as almost normalized? You know, when I talked about gun control and I said that people should be held accountable and stuff like that, I meant that. I've never swayed from that. You know, when you have epic levels of these sort of outbursts that happen, they should be dealt with. They should be discussed everywhere. You know, it's mighty funny when everything bad is happening. It's all blame black folk people, blame, blame, blame. And there's no ISIS for white shooters in situations. Where's the ISIS that knocking on their door? Hmm? Where are they at? Hmm? You know, I can always go back to Timothy McVeigh and David Nichols in Oklahoma City bombing. I remember that like yesterday. And that got half the attention. You know what's a trip was that one of the many times that Suge Knight did go to prison or jail, he talked about that the deputies threw him in the cell horror. They basically was with kitty gloves with Timothy McVeigh. I'm not shocked or surprised to hear that. It's always these double standards and these ways that things go. But you don't mean to tell me that you hear about these schools and these supermarkets? Because I can emphasize this with places I lived and grew up and different things that it is very disturbing, very alarming, but they're not called terrorists. They don't have ISIS coming to get them. They don't have anybody put no lights on them, no taser, no nothing. You do what you want to do with complexion for the protection, and we might take you to Burger King and get you a crown. We might take you for a Sunday McFlurry. We might just let you just have one last stroll around. It's okay. Put some mustard on, your tofu dog or whatever, your hot dog, whatever you eat. It's all yeah. Because that's how the country was built over 400 years plus. But who got the blame? See, it's like you're in the middle of watching a movie and you know who the bad guy is usually going to be, but they don't draw the attention to that. They want to put it on the others. They want to put the camera off of what goes on. Because you have never had a presidency tell the truth. None of them. The real terrorists, the real people. And what still goes on. Who do it up in big places. Who is the real culprit of the violence and how America was created and formulated. But it never gets told the truth. We see it every day. That's why the NRA makes hand over fist. We see it every day in every kind of way. But they got business ends on everything you can imagine. So who's going to say we shouldn't do this and curb this? The legalized genocide that has gone on. Same place that was about slavery and civil wars, etc., and has created tensions and what have you, and mayhem. And they do it on their own people. There is no love or no respect. So what do you expect? So more mass shootings in white America, which is who are you getting mad at? Who are you talking this out to? Who is speaking about it? Media don't really cover it at all. They don't talk about the real pandemic and the psychological genocide that goes on. Who's been the real culprit of the bulk of it? for 400 plus years. But who catches the blame? See, that's the reality. And what they ignore is glaring. Please hit like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another, and share the if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay true. These mass shootings continue to happen, and you see the administrations, and they don't say nothing, don't do nothing, but they see it, but they don't want to talk about it because it looks just like them in the mirror. But they don't want to ever look at that. They want to blame everybody but what they created because it's always been there. It's always been there. From Columbus to today, and you see the clones of it. I'm out.